Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. Got an exciting episode today, and we're diving into how champions take their craft seriously. Champions take their craft seriously, and this is actually out of my book, Champions, the Attributes, the Lifestyle, and the Choice. That book is actually out right now, and again, I wrote that when I was getting all these opportunities to speak to college-age athletes, high school athletes, and just really wanted to inspire them and encourage them to live like a champion, not just on the field, but actually in life, and just wanted them to be good at what they do and great at who they are. And so, one of my hearts here is I want us to be men and women who walk in purity and power. Purity and power, where we are bigger on the inside than we are on the outside. And I think a lot about the process. I think about the story of Joseph in the Bible, and Joseph was somebody, he had this thing on the inside of him that he knew he was meant to be on the world stage, right? Like he started having these dreams about being on the world stage and how his brothers and his family would actually serve him. And maybe he's a little bit arrogant, right? And he starts sharing a little bit of these dreams, and he shares it with the people that don't really like him. His brothers who are already jealous, and what they do is they take him, they throw him into a pit, then they sell him into slavery. He finds himself in prison, and then several years later, he finds himself before Pharaoh, the number one world power at that time. And God does something so incredible through him that Pharaoh makes him number two in command of the world power at that time. But the thing is from the pit to the palace is the process. And many times we want to skip the process, but it's in the process that it shapes our inner character. That whenever our name is truly called on the world stage, or for those big moments or the bright lights, however you want to say it, that we can stand under the weight and the responsibility that comes with being a true champion. And so that's kind of what I wrote the book about, and I talk a good bit about that in there. So you can get that on my website, CoryLeeLeadership.com/champion, or Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever. It should be on Audible by now, and so it should be coming out. And I really want to encourage you to go out and get that book, because I truly feel like the message is very timely, not just for athletes, but actually for all of us. And so I want to encourage that. And so this is actually a part of my book, and I'm calling this chapter, this is actually a chapter in the book that I call Champions Take Their Craft Seriously. And it reminds me of a quote that I heard. It says, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness." In a 5-year period of time, my wife and I, we had built 2 physical therapy clinics, 4 gyms, had 3 kids, sold all the businesses, and kept all the kids, obviously. And shortly after selling our businesses, I was having this conversation with my wife about what our next season would hold. I knew that I wanted to work with leaders, because developing leaders, that's different. That's very different from developing followers. See, leaders cast a wide net, and they have the ability to impact and influence the many. My idea, it was vague, but I could feel something stirring within me. All I knew at the time was that I wanted to build a business dedicated to developing leaders around the globe who would be good at what they do and great at who they are. And so I developed a plan, I got some training, and I launched. And so I decided to apply all my leadership business. I decided to apply all the strategies that had worked for all of those other previous businesses. But y'all, nothing was working. Nothing seemed to work. It's like, it was tough. Like, clients were few, speaking engagements were rare, and one-on-one coaching sessions are even scarcer. The success that I envisioned, it seemed to elude me. But the turning point came with that profound quote, really the realization of that quote. It sparked a simple yet profound thought. Until one is committed, think about it, there's hesitancy, a chance to draw back. See, with the revelation of this quote, I realized how I was actually subconsciously hindering my own business. While part of me worked towards the new dream, another part actually lingered in safety and security of the past. I would often find myself scrolling on Indeed.com just to see, I just wanted to see what other opportunities might be available for individuals with my skill set. And I would say things like, well, if this doesn't work out, then I know I can go back and start another physical therapy clinic. If this doesn't work out, I know I can go back to that. And see, I realized that I was coming up with plan B solutions instead of focusing on my plan A. My plan A solution was only getting bits and pieces of me. I had to realize that I was going into a new season, not just a next season. And I had to burn my boats. I had to go all in on my dream. My dream needed my commitment, not my half-hearted attempt. See, every single worthwhile endeavor requires commitment. In fact, without a full commitment, you will never achieve the success you expect or desire. That's because without a full commitment, there's always a way out, a backup plan or a plan B. See, with a plan B in place, it allows the option to retreat to still be in place. And as I wrote the book, but also as I'm thinking about some of you guys who are listening, I feel like some of you are going into a new season, not just the next season. And a commitment needs to be made, just as my new season required a commitment. See, behold, I do a new thing, is what the Lord said. There's a difference between the next thing and the new thing. Some of us are moving into next seasons, which are usually just extensions of the past. And there's nothing wrong with the next season. Many of you, however, you're moving into a new season. And a new season is completely different from the previous season. And there are some things that you got to cut ties with. You got to burn some boats. It's a complete departure from what was, requiring the severing of ties and releasing of what hinders. You got to let go, and you got to completely let it go. The weight of the past cannot be carried into the boundless possibility of the new season. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." See, when I made the decision to go in, I stopped hedging my bets and committed fully to the vision stirring within me to build and to inspire leaders around the globe. I stopped scrolling to see the latest opportunities on Indeed.com. And each time that I considered the possibility of launching a new physical therapy practice, I shifted my focus to asking the question of what activity could I engage in right then, right now, to move this new business forward. See, the impact was immediate and transformative. The business is taken off, and I've never looked back. Champions, they committed to the prize and the process. See, critics, they tend to hold back. They tend to never fully commit to a cause, and they like to keep their options open. However, champions are different. They cut all ties with routes of escape from their callings. When faced with challenges, their focus becomes laser sharp and undistracted by peripheral concerns. Pursuing a dream, y'all, demands all of you. All of your creativity, all of your focus, all of your intentional time, not just the leftovers. Champions approach their craft with a seriousness that elevates them above the hobbyist. See, people with hobbies, they participate only when things are convenient and when they feel like participating. That's what hobbyists do. For the hobbyist, there is a lot of starting and stopping, and they are inconsistent in their efforts. While hobbyists engage when convenient, champions consistently do what others do only occasionally. I also think champions are accountable. See, accountability is to give an account for your ability, not your inability. Champions hold themselves to a higher standard, but they know they can't be left to their own self-evaluation. Even they know that they need other people in their lives, people who embrace who they are, but also believe in who they can become. So champions not only surround themselves with other champions, but also invite trusted people into their lives who will tell them what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear. They invite other champions who operate at a high level of awareness to shine lights into their blind spots. We call them blind spots for a reason. And they're blind spots because we can't see them. Many times we're unable to see the picture when we're in the frame, and we need others to help us see. This inner circle illuminates blind spots and offers invaluable perspectives. A great question to ask those in your inner circle is like, what is it like being on the other side of me? Like, what's it like being on the other side of me? And I just want to take a moment to talk about this inner circle. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me, and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now. Champions take their craft seriously by being intentional about who is in their inner circle, the key voices that speak into their lives. You know, it's been said that you are the average of the 5 people closest to you. How about that? Think about this. Like when you were growing up, your mom and them, they probably said something along the lines of, "Hey, you know what? You don't need to spend too much time with that person right there, or such and such, or hey, you need to spend a little more time with him or with her." Like, why did they say that? Like, why would mom and them say that? Well, they knew that young boys and young girls, the ones we associate with, have a major influence on our perspectives. The things that we are interested in, the places where we spend our time, the things that we think about, the type of language that we use, the movies, the music, the books that we read. See, our parents knew that whom we spend major time with actually played a major role in our lives. The question I want to ask you as a champion to consider is, at what point is that kind of influence no longer true? Like, is it when you graduate school? Is it when you get your first job, or maybe when you have your first child? And the reality is, it's always true. Whoever we spend time with will have a direct influence on us. Champions know that those closest to them will determine their potential, and champions guard their inner circle well. A champion's inner circle consists of others who are growing. They do not surround themselves with the critic, the cynic, or the complainer, or the gossiper. Champions know that if any of these are allowed to speak heavily into their lives, then a lid immediately gets placed on the top. And that in turn will limit their growth. Instead, champions invite others who are committed to growth. They seek out those who are bigger and stronger and faster because they know that if they are the most gifted person in the room, then you know what? They're in the wrong room. Champions only allow those to come near who, when asked what they think, actually think about what they think. See, some people just respond and they don't really think. Some like to simply give opinions, but opinions are the cheapest commodity in God's creation. Anybody can give an opinion, because often opinions do not consider or take into account responsibility for the outcome. People can give an opinion easily because they don't have to bear the weight of responsibility for the action that they just recommended. So before we ask people what they think, first make sure they actually think, right? See, they have other champions who will sharpen them. It's been said that as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. That's Proverbs 27:17. But you think about it, in the sharpening process, there's some friction there. Sharpening is not always a comfortable process, but its results are refinement. See, champions have others who will ask them the hard questions. They have the people who ask them the hard questions with the heart posture of loving to see them grow instead of being okay with seeing them stay in the same place. Champions do not surround themselves with those who will help them make excuses. I like what Jim Rohn says. He says it like this: don't join an easy crowd, you won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. Man, that's good stuff. I just, one last thought on this about your inner circle is that those closest to you, champions are not just receiving, they're also pouring out. They are rivers and not just reservoirs. They know that a relationship is a two-way street. See, a situation in which each party gives 100%. Champions know that if a relationship ever gets lopsided, then that relationship will not last. Therefore, they are continually striving to pull up the average of those around them and to elevate those around them. I also think, champions know who they are. Champions live from their identity as a champion as opposed to fighting for their identity. This difference, I'm telling you, is the dividing line between living like a champion and living like an underdog. The underdog lives with a chip on their shoulders, and they have this driving desire to prove others wrong. They see the world from the perspective that people are always out to get them, and they got to go take it. They got to go take whatever it is that they want. In sports, the underdog can sneak up on other teams. They can come under the radar to grab some unexpected wins from time to time, but there's a huge difference between being an underdog and a champion. Champions do not have the satisfaction of sneaking up on other teams. See, they always get the best from their opponents. There's a weight of expectation that the underdog knows nothing about, and that's what causes their inconsistency. See, they can dominate at some moments, but also look like complete beginners at other moments. Many know how to live their lives as an underdog, but they do not know what it's like to live like a champion. They experience the occasional win, but they aren't fully mature in how to handle the new identity of being a winner, so they do this revert back to bad habits. Many times this reverting is an unconscious activity. See, the reason behind it is that their belief is still in who they were instead of who they are. Our beliefs drive our behavior. So even if we've experienced a few wins, if deep down inside we don't believe we are winners, we will eventually return to that internal set point. We will never outperform our own self-image. Just like that thermostat on the wall that's set at 70 degrees. If the temperature in the room rises above 70, then the unit will kick on and bring the internal temperature back to the set point. Just cutting to the chase right here, you got to see yourself as a champion. You got to see yourself as a champion. This world needs you to see yourself as a champion. Understanding identity is important because we truly will never outperform our own self-image. Without identifying as a champion, we spend too much time focused on the competition instead of growing into our potential. The truth is, the competition that we are slated to go against on the scoreboard might not even be the real challenge that stands between us and victory. I heard Nick Saban say this. He was asked what he thought the greatest threat to excellence is, and he began his response with a single word: complacency. See, when we focus on the competition rather than our growth, we fall into the comparison trap. And it's through the comparison trap that the accuser gets us to look at who we are not instead of who we are, the talents we do not possess instead of the gifts that we do, and where we are stressed instead of where we're blessed. Champions focus on who they are, not on who they are not. I truly believe that if you knew who God created you to be, you wouldn't want to be anyone else. And actually, when we want to be just like someone else, all we can ever hope to be is a copy of the original. We a knockoff brand, you the Equate brand of the original, And see, I firmly believe that if you were created, I truly believe that you were created on purpose and you were created for a purpose in this generation. In fact, there's a God in heaven who not only created you, but who loves you. And if you will just take a moment to seek him or to ask him from your heart about who he says you are, then I firmly believe that he will tell you. See, this world likes to say who you are and who you should be, but his word will tell you who you truly are. Sometimes people will not fully step into the living their lives as a champion because it's just easier to settle into living as an underdog. See, the underdog doesn't feel comfortable bearing the weight of expectations or the responsibility to always be at their best. It's just a whole lot easier to show up and do their best when they want to. It's a whole lot easier to maintain the talent that they currently have instead of going in and putting extra effort into discovering all that the Lord wants to put into their account. Underdogs like to perform only when the lights are bright. Champions make the choice to perform with the same level of intensity even when no one is watching. They know that this is the great separator between living as an underdog and as a champion. It's what's done when no one is watching, even when no one may even know what's being done. But honestly, it all eventually gets exposed. See, what's done in the dark eventually gets exposed. What's done in the dark will eventually be exposed. There's a weight of expectation that champions carry that crushes the underdog. The champions carry it because they've done the internal work that's done in the dark. I find it interesting that the underdog likes to tell people all about who they are and what they've done and the efforts they put in, while the champion just, they simply show up and show people. It ultimately gets revealed. The reality is, if you have to tell everyone how great you are, you probably aren't that great. You're probably more insecure than being a great champion. You do more by showing than telling. And I want to wrap up this podcast with something Andrew Carnegie said. He said, as I get older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do. How about that? Well, y'all, I hope today has encouraged you. I hope it has added value to you. And hey, if there's something in this podcast that has stood out to you, I would love to hear some feedback. You can email me, Cory at CoryLeeLeadership.com, or, I also encourage you to go out and get the book, read it for yourself. I would love your help in getting this message out. I feel like it could be a timely message to encourage a lot of men and women, young athletes, as well as adults. And so I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of The Cory Lee Show. Hope you guys have a great day, and God bless.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.